Welcome back to another episode of the Finance Bible podcast. Zeke here.
And your co-host, Oscar. But before we get into it, please note that nothing in this podcast should ever be considered as personal financial advice.
Of course, if that is what you are seeking, reach out, we'll get you in touch with the correct professionals, get the job done properly.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Let's get into it. Today we're just going to be talking about how to set up your finances as a new couple. So you're out there, you've just gone and you might have been in a nightclub, you might have been at school, you might have been at uni, you might have been in the doctor's ward, and you've
Doctor's ward, interesting point there.
Yep, and you found the love of your life, possibly new couple, and you need to set up your finances. Awkward conversation, awkward everything, and very annoying to deal with. So what do you do? And these are just spitballing ideas, different things that we would think about in that scenario. Oscar probably is currently.
Well, I wouldn't say it's an awkward thing to do.
Good.
Well, you're not really a relationship man, so that's probably why.
Yeah, but if you, yeah, it can.
I love it. I think it's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, you love it, but if your partner doesn't feel like the same kind of thing, then it might be a bit awkward.
Oh yeah, if the partner doesn't feel it's a different story. You probably wouldn't be.
Yeah, like a lot of people get awkward talking about finances. They might not be comfortable with that, like straight out the bat. But open communication is probably the first point. Like, you want to actually discuss like short-term, long-term goals. Like, you want to get a house. How do you want to retire? Like, how do you feel about vacations? That kind of thing.
Yeah, because you want to be on the same page. Like if let's for example say you're really wanting to buy a house, but your partner's really wanting to just
Travel.
travel or just keep saving for another 20 years and doesn't believe in what you believe in, that's when it becomes a little bit uncomfortable, a lot harder to actually have those conversations. But yeah, being on the same page and letting them know what you want to achieve, because there's no point really joining bank accounts and being like a couple financially if you're not on the same page. Like you may as well just do it by yourself or do it with a mate who is on the same page, so you can still get the benefits of doing it with two incomes.
Yeah, finances are the number one reason for divorce, so you may as well get it out of the way nice and early. Just break up if they don't have have the same goals as you, if that's how you want to do it. Save a bit of time, a bit of money. Don't invest so much into it, maybe. The other thing in this part of it, like open communication, is you need to be upfront with like what you actually earn, what you spend, like all of your actual financial habits, because you don't want them found out down the track. Like you don't want someone thinking you're on, 300 grand a year and you're actually on 50 grand a year. You don't want someone thinking that you like really good with savings or something, and then all of a sudden you've got a gambling addiction.
Well, I was going to say gambling addiction. Like it's so popular in like our age group. I know a lot of people, like friends of people, and also ex-partners of people I know who have like very, very bad gambling addictions, and they kind of kept it from their partner until it kind of hit the fan, and then it all came out, and it's like, well, you've been lying to me for like 2 years. I saw a future with you, and this has happened. So like, obviously, I'm not going to go down the path because I can't level up my investment or property goals in the future if you're going to keep doing this. So yeah, figuring out really the truth behind everything.
Yeah, just be honest.
It's not hard. Be honest.
You might find someone who loves gambling too. You can link up.
You can.
Probably not a great idea, but it's definitely possible. But
once you have communicated and you are on the same page, which is a good news, good start, it then is time to create a joint budget. So it's probably best to like outline your combined income, your expenses, your savings goal. You might both want to have a goal to save $30,000 by the end of the year. So how much per week each from your own individual pay do you both have to individually contribute to your joint account to reach that goal when 31st of December hits? And it's kind of working backwards. So this will help you both really get an understanding of where the money's going and keeps you on track like an accountability partner to reach the goal overall. because accountability partners, if it's finances, especially, it's good to have in a gym, helps you keep lifting. In life, you just need an accountability partner.
You absolutely do. I think the part of here, like creating the budget, to track your expenses and figure out what you should and shouldn't be spending, and then sticking to it. You kind of need to run your family or your relationship like a business. So you need to actually sit down and go, all right, we've got X amount of money coming in per week or whatever. We can allocate some to this, we can allocate some to that, and figure it out from there. Um, I'd be in favor of merging some accounts and not all accounts.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So I would assume that you do like, your general household expenses and stuff like that you'd put together in a joint account, but each person should still, in my opinion, and you probably share it, have their own spending account too. So,
Hmm.
it might be a percentage of each of your pays goes into your own account where you can go and do what you want to do. You might be having a few beers with the boys. It might be going and getting your nails done. It could be anything.
Yeah, literally, because it's good to have your own individual money because there's a lot of couples that I've read. I know a couple as well who every cent of their pay is in a joint account. And then if one of them wants to go see their friends or go on a little trip or something, well, they're taking money from the joint account. And if the other person's not happy about it, well, there's a bit of conflict coming. So having your individual accounts and kind of separating yourself, it's good for being individual and also keeping that healthy distance and relationship going.
That's actually a great example because I know a couple that they unfortunately they do that same management method. They have it all put into one account,
Oh, really?
and the male in the situation was going to go on a bit of a boys' trip. Um, Details are not valid and not necessary for this, but he wanted to go there, and it's going to be like 2 grand or something. And then she was like, "Well, I'm not spending 2 grand."
Oh, because
So
all their money was
yeah,
together.
so like, why would you be able to just go spend 2 grand if I can't?
Yeah, so it just removes problems like that happening, which would happen a lot. And that kind of goes back to your point. The number one source of divorce is finances,
Yeah,
and that would be mainly one of the reasons why. It's if you do have a joint account and the expenses, it's a it's a good way to figure out how you'll handle the expenses, like if it's going to be a 50-50 split. If one of you's on a higher income and another one's on a lower income, will the person on the higher income pay a high percentage of the bills? Like figuring out how that works. And that obviously comes down to being open with your communication, figuring out, hey, how much you want in your salary? We've got X amount per week to pay in bills. If you pay this, I pay this. I'll be able to keep saving to our goals. So figuring out based on your income is probably an important way as opposed to just going 50-50 split.
yeah, absolutely. And you need to then figure out as well. Um, you've already sat down, you've sort of figured out your goals and that in the open communication. You've merged your accounts, you figured all that out. Um, all the transparency is out of the way. Now you're at a point where it'd be creating a rainy day fund or an emergency fund. So I mean, this varies a bit here and there, but you probably want between 3 and 6 months worth of a buffer so that if anything happened to one of you or both of you, that you could afford to pay your actual fixed expenses for the next, 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, because you never know what happens. Like we all saw in COVID, and unfortunately, like couples had to start selling their assets because realistically, no, a lot of people lost their jobs, especially if you're a business owner and you was more, in person and actually helping people and serving people, well, you were shut down. So having that emergency fund is vital. And even like aside from having a joint emergency fund, it's not a bad idea to have your own individual emergency fund as well. Because let's just say you unfortunately break up. Sometimes it's a messy breakup.
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't know if you will get half of the joint emergency fund back. Depends on the circumstances. But if you have your own individual emergency fund on the side, if anything did happen, well, you're kind of set up like for at least 3 months or 6 months, depending how much you've saved. And it's a good kind of thought to have in the back of your mind. It's a bit of a security blanket at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'd definitely be building up a individual one and just having it on the side in a different bank account, um, or in shares or something. Just
Mm,
building up over time, a little something to fall back on in an Armageddon.
yeah. And going on, like, let's say we've ticked off all those points. Every, let's say, 3, 4 weeks, it's not a bad idea to actually just sit down. You can make it a monthly date night kind of thing. Have a glass of wine and go out for dinner, and then get the spreadsheet out. Let's see how we're on track, how are our expenses, how close are we to reaching the savings goals, because you can easily go off track. Like, let's say one weekend you've got, 2 engagement parties, one wedding. All of a sudden, you're spending quite a bit of money, and then let's say you're wanting to save $1,000 a week. Well, because you're spending a bit of money on gifts, you can only save 200 a week for that week. So figuring out and having those meetings with your partner over a candle on a dinner table, it's a good idea.
Oh
Keep
yeah,
yourself on track.
keep the love alive.
Keep the love alive, keep the vibes going, and keep the money flowing.
Yeah, you in those meetings too. Like, ideally before that meeting of having the regular check-ins, you've also figured out like your retirement savings, your insurances and stuff like that, and figured out in your goal session, like, okay, we want to put X amount into the retirement fund, we want to put X amount into planning the wedding, we want to put X amount into this, that, and the other, the house account, whatever.
And then kids as well.
Kids, yeah, private school fees, whatever it is, holidays. You want all these different things set up where you go, all right, we're putting that there, that there, that there, that there. And then in those meetings that you're having, once a month, then you can sit down and go, okay, well, this is tracking well, this is tracking well, this one not so much. What can we do to change that? And you might be able to alter your trajectory pretty heavily doing that every month.
Hmm. Yeah, and with your insurance point and your retirement planning, that kind of leads into actually seeing professionals and getting professional advice, because it's all well and fine to join your accounts, split the bills, whatever percentage that is, and have a savings goal. But when it gets to the overall planning, like, you may want to see a financial advisor to sit down with you and say, hey, you're on this trajectory. If we, perhaps invest in something like this will change it overall. But getting professional advice, if it's a financial advisor, insurance broker, property investment advisors like yourselves, there's so many people out there, but that would be a good place if you are serious of growing with that individual financially as well as emotionally.
And it becomes a point of like, when do you actually sit down and get the professional help as well? Like, at what point do you think that comes in? Like, for me, I'd probably say after a couple of years, when you're like, yeah, okay, I think this could be more long term. Like, you still have the chats and that anyway early,
Mm.
but in terms of bringing a professional in, like for me, I feel like it'd be maybe 3 or 4 years down the track. You've tried and tested a bunch of things in the relationship. You know where it's going, and you've done a bit of savings here. You've got your emergency fund. You've got all that. You're far enough down the track where you can go, all right, now is time to figure out where we're investing and what we're doing properly to start building on what the foundation we've already made. When would you do that? Would you be similar or would you do it a bit different?
No, I'd probably do it after. I'd probably merge accounts and get advice after you've been living with someone,
Yep, fair.
because firstly, like, once you start living with someone, it's a make or break, and then you'll pretty soon know, all right, this isn't working or this is working. So I feel like maybe a year after living with someone, that and you're pretty committed to them, I think that's when I would look at getting like actual financial advice.
But you mean a year of being with them or a year of living with them?
Living
Yeah, okay. So let's say you're dating for
like 4 years,
2 years and then you move in together. You're a year together, so probably 3 years in that circumstance.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Everyone's
probably
different though. Like, I know someone who's just started dating this girl like a month, 2 months ago, and like already moved in and joining finances, and it's some people move quick.
it could be a recipe for
So
disaster, but
yeah, you never, like, it's
they could also be love struck. You never know.
you, you don't know.
All I know is I'd be slowing this down as much as I can. I'd be making sure that if I'm putting the time and effort into doing the plan, investing in
And
the person, and all of that kind of stuff, you'd be
it's you don't know what you don't know. Like, if it ends, if your relationship ends, you and your financials are merged and you've got everything going on together, like you've got a house together and you've really jumped into it. Well, when settlement comes with the divorce, like it's a pretty big stitch up for some people. So be careful because you can really lose half just like that.
or more.
Yeah, well, most of the time it's more, isn't it?
Yeah, it can really leave a bad taste in your mouth. That one I've seen in our profession, obviously, a lot of divorces go through, and one of them, literally one, has been good.
Mm,
Like the couple still talk. They literally just spoke. They were like, "Oh, look, I think it's fair that you have this and blah blah blah."
yeah,
And it was more for the kids. They were like, "All right, well, shit, we can't screw each other around because the kids, blah blah." Um, and they still have like sort of like a monthly call just to check what's going on with finances and stuff
that's good.
as real
I read that.
amicable. And I'm like, that's how everyone should be.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, how easy is that? Imagine going through all the rigmarole of having your solicitors and, you
Oh,
know,
and
just
you're already stressed
arguing.
enough.
The kids are getting annoyed. Like, everything's a problem. Just chill out and deal with it like
Literally.
adults.
Yeah.
Like, you're not in high school anymore.
No, you're not.
Unless, obviously, something bad has happened. Maybe the relationship ended in a terrible way.
Yeah, you never know.
But you could just fall out of love and fizzle out.
That is also true.
There's a bit of love advice
I
for
was
you
going to
guys
say,
too.
you're a bit of a counsellor now, aren't you?
A bit of a counsellor.
Yeah.
I reckon I'm in the wrong profession. I should be. I could talk real soothing, and
Oh,
I could really help people
oh.
and make sure that they feel really good.
Wow. Righto. Well, on that note, we'll leave it there.
Yeah, that's all we really have to say for that one. Enjoy your day, and we'll catch you next
We'll
time.
see you next week.
Ciao.
See ya.
We hope you enjoyed the episode. As always, you know exactly what to do. Hit that follow button, subscribe, whatever platform you listen to this podcast on. Also share it to friends, families, co-workers, whoever you think may benefit from it. But unfortunately, it's the end, and we'll see you next week.